All right, let me just make sure the audio is good. All right, y'all, check it out. I'm back, yo. I had to take a little day off. It was a little busy for me, so let me just check the audio real quick to make sure it's coming through clear. All right. I think it's a little better now. Just turned it up. Let me know if it's too low at any time, right? Yeah. That way we can keep things smooth. But wow, I had to take a day off, and it was kind of busy. I wanted to come on yesterday, but it was just so busy. I didn't have any extra time. I had some extra hours I had to take care of. But in any case, I'm back, and as you know, the news doesn't stop. But I want to start before we go into the House hearings again and some of the other developing news, the freedom of speech, and our rights, our civil rights, these amendments, First, Second Amendment, which I've been telling people that if you think Trump is not the type of person that will try to stop your gun rights, think again, because Trump, and I'm not even a big gun advocate, but this would be the guy that tries to do it. This would be the guy. And the reason why is because, like I told you, Elon Musk, criminals, people that try to steal your country, the one thing they fear the most is your gun rights. Like, seriously, the United States is different from most other Western countries in this regard. Like, we have an armed population, and people that want to steal the country, you better believe that they think about freedom of speech. Yeah, they do. But they really, really, really think about the guns. And these people are so slick. They're not going to say nothing about guns. It will just come in a boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, they have an excuse for it. Emergency. Just like they've been doing with everything else. And if you think there's not people in this administration or people that believe in general that this president will try to keep power, will try to actually stop any type of election or any transition of power, turning over of power to another administration. And I'm not talking about J.D. Vance or people in his own administration. I mean, a totally new one. Since the American people are really pissed off, think again, think again. But in any case, this right here is one program you need to check out, IHIP News. And these two ladies, they be on it like straight up. People need to check their some of their insights out. And I watch a lot of different programming, but this one, I think they're always on it, like day to day ahead of the programming. So try to take a listen to what they're talking about here. I'm gonna let it play and then do some commentary. Hope everybody's doing well.
Weak and confused old man doesn't understand geopolitical politics and the nature of missiles and how they can traject all over the place, nor does he understand psychological warfare or alliances among nations. Play the clip.
When you're going to have to not buy oil from Russia. But we're going to see how it turns out. I hope it turns out well. It doesn't affect us, because we have a big ocean in between, but you're losing millions of people, and they're mostly soldiers, Russian soldiers.
Yo, click the like button also, y'all, please, so more people can see it. It helps the algorithm. Trust me. Hit the like button if you're watching.
There's Ukrainian soldiers.
He thinks the war in Ukraine doesn't concern the United States because there's a big ocean between us. You guys, this is just breathtaking stupidity. And he has been in the UK and he has lied every single time he's in front of the microphone. He has sounded like a man who escaped a memory care wing of a nursing home. And I haven't seen one mainstream journalist, not one, on television, start off the story. The president of the United States is lying his way through his UK tour.
Now, this is the thing. Basically, we've been saying this, but I think people catch on kind of late. People catch on late, and that is the sad fact of it. A lot of times you come across people that they think they take some of these insights for a joke, maybe, and wait a little bit too long. Like, one thing I told people is I've been saying this for weeks, and I don't like to keep saying it because some people take it the wrong way. Like the moment I mention gun license, responsible gun ownership, you'd be surprised how many people tuned out. You'd be surprised because a lot of people are paranoid. But what I'm telling you is, I'm going to tell you this again. And I'm telling you also, subscribe, not only subscribe, but become a member to the channel. Just the cheapest membership is like $2 because there's some things I'm going to have to say that I'm just not going to be saying them all open to everybody. Right. So it's only for the real supporters, actually, to be honest with you, the people that really want to have some serious dialogue about what's going on. But like I've been saying, just calmly and, orderly, in an orderly fashion, go out and get yourself a gun license and buy your weapons, whatever guns you need to buy. And I'm talking about people on the left, and the right, whoever. I don't care, because there's a plan these people are putting in effect, and they don't like any Americans. MAGA, they don't like you either. So don't get it twisted. You won't keep America by trying to beat Democrats. That's not how you're going to keep the U.S., because they're coming for your rights also. Trust me. Now let's listen again.
Meanwhile, in the UK, local stations are playing marathons of Trump's lies over and over and over and over again. And so this silent acquiescence and the silent capitulation by the media for a very long time towards Trump is such an insidious accomplishment.
Now, the media, they've gotten tax breaks. All the media corporations, they've gotten tax breaks. And the ones that aren't going to bend to Trump, you can see what they're doing right now. But don't think that they're doing all of this just because. No, if they're going after radio, that's because something is about to happen and they don't want it transmitted to the rest of the world, let alone you. But they don't want to transmit it to you or the rest of the world. Trust me, they want to shut down speech for something that's going to happen. It's not an accident. And you know what? People should stop trying to figure out reasons why it ain't something bad coming. Why they would take away your speech, but it's just your speech. No. First your speech, then the rest of your power. First the speech and then the rest. Whatever else you got is coming.
To where we find ourselves right now. When I think back on the way they reported about Biden, which was fair, he was old. I mean, that's a fair thing. And then I look at this guy. And it's not even comparable, the reporting. They just report like Trump is in the UK with King Charles and blah, blah, blah. And it's just such incredible bullshit, the way they do not report the health, the weakness, the frailty, the mental incompetence.
And I'm not saying don't put down your voting. Vote. Absolutely vote. Use everything that you have in your arsenal. Your vote is your speech. Whoever they're talking about vote is a joke, man, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. It's a lot of trolls. It's a lot of trolls. Trust me, it's a lot of trolls. But trolls, you need to understand something too. Americans are the most armed group of people on earth. So if you don't take your freedom seriously, it will never be like that in the U.S. All Americans take their freedom seriously, and the word is going to go out like that. But I'm just saying, calmly, the ones that don't have a license, and the ones that don't have weapons in their home, like to defend themselves, shotgun, whatever, assault rifle, whatever it is that's legal, you might want to consider getting one and getting some lessons. Because there's gun ranges everywhere. You could easily go get some lessons. But I'm telling you, get them before this man makes them illegal. Trust me.
The pathological lying is rarely even reported. It's just accepted.
Well, what's so startling about this is I think now at this point, they're scared of the FCC because we've seen that with ABC, CBS, and all that. They weren't reporting it in the early days when he started lying. They let him go from 2015 all the way through. They don't fact check him. And I don't know if it's because he's this crazy uncle vibe that, oh, you can't take anything he says seriously. Fucking do your job. You're capitulating by not appropriately recording the news.
But during Trump 1.0, I believe there was that really famous Washington Post article that counted the lies that Trump told in his first administration, which were over 30,000.
Now, do you remember? We were just talking about the lies like 2 days ago. The last time I was live, we were talking about the lies and how many are told. And people got used to Trump telling lies. In fact, people got used to lies not mattering. People just got used to, look, I mean, isn't this where all these people got Trump in office with lies? They believed in lies. They believed he was going to release the Epstein files. He was lying to you, and you voted for that. He told you he was going to make the cost of living go down, but you knew he's a crook. He lied to you, and you believed it. That's how you got in this situation. And now they're trying to make lies normal by making the news media succumb to lies only. Don't, with any type of news media, he's going to try to attack and shut those people down. I'm telling you, and it's not for any reason at all. They are scared. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and those cronies, they're scared, yo. They're going to make a big move. They're going to make a big move because they know they have crossed the line.
Over 30,000 lies. And since then, you see the oligarch capitulate. And I'm talking about Bezos. He spiked the endorsement of Kamala Harris and wouldn't run it. And now he has just fired the last Black journalist at the Washington Post because she quoted Charlie Kirk directly, used Charlie Kirk's words, and she got fired. That's how insidious and racist and dangerous Charlie Kirk's words are, that she was fired for using them. Or worse, she was.
So how do you feel about the First Amendment? How do you feel about having to lie about what you witnessed from Charlie Kirk? How do you feel about that? That's serious. They don't want people talking about what really happened with this dude. And they don't want people talking about the hate that Charlie Kirk was spreading. And this is where they're starting at. They're starting right there at that point. And trust me, they're very clever. They use one group against the other group to be able to use another group against that initial group later. Watch. It's just called divide and conquer. And if you think bringing in a naturalized citizen, the richest man on earth, to invade the Treasury Department, invade your Social Security, if you think that's not a coup against the country, you're stupid. You are a stupid joke. Where's this idiot at? Jonathan, you're a stupid joke.
Fired because Bezos doesn't want people to know how racist he was. And that is even more sinister, that at one point they had a lie tracker and they were counting them. And now it's just completely dismissed, which brings me to Trump talking about, in that first clip that I played, there's a big ocean between us. Remember back to the Alaska bend over, where he's clapping on the red carpet like a seal when he couldn't walk in a straight line, where he has U.S. military on their knees rolling out the red carpet, where the reporting was after they come out of closed door meetings, all the Trump fluffers were ashen and scared shitless. Why do we keep bending over for Russia? And I just want to remind you of all of the news stories that have always been circulated regarding the following. Put this up, Seth.
You see this silly stuff in the chat? What do you think you're doing now, blaming everything on Trump? Isn't that what people did when Biden was in office? You're supposed to blame the person in charge. Unless you're stupid. Unless you're stupid. Who are you going to blame when Biden's in power? Trump? Is that what you're going to do? I mean, what was the excuse for Biden? Was the excuse for Biden Trump? No. Not for any Trump supporter. And even if it is, even if for some reason one president does screw it up for the next regime, that's still not an excuse for the performance of the next regime, period. And that should be regarding any type of political party. All people should be on board with that. No excuses. Not this time, not today, not later. But this is, you see, watch where they get to. I'm sorry, because I shouldn't even be reacting to what I'm reading. Some of the stuff you read is, I'm gonna tell you. Watch.
December 31, 2023. Putin ally says U.S. civil war will be good for world.
Did you hear that? So this is what Russia, and I've been saying this for a minute. And if you don't like my channel, I don't give a fuck what you think. Beat it. I'm not here for one or two petty ass people. Putin, like I said before, China, did you hear what they just said? I've been saying this for some time. China and Russia want the U.S. to have a civil war. That is what their goal is. And if you fall for it, you are stupid as hell. If you maggots fall for it, you're dumb as hell. You need to wake up now. Anybody else, whether they're for Trump or not, if you fall for this, you deserve to have your fucking country taken from you. If you fall for it. If you fall for it, you are blind. You're too blind. You're easily played between left and right and blah, blah, blah. Your brain is too fried. And they will be tweaking the algorithm and the trolls to tweak with your brain. Straight up. Now listen, when you start hearing outlets like this say these things, trust me, you better take a listen.
After the Charlie Kirk assassination, they're scared.
Let's hear it one more time.
Shitless. Why do we keep bending over for Russia? And I just want to remind you of all of the news stories that have always been circulated regarding the following. Put this up, Seth. December 31, 2023, Putin.
December 21.
Ally says U.S. civil war will be good for world. After the
U.S. civil war will be good for world. And that's what they've been promoting. They've been promoting that.
Charlie Kirk assassination. Everybody went into their silos, but there's also this silent passenger that is omnipresent all over all social media platforms. And these are Russian and Chinese bots.
Yes. So if you're in the chat, Russian and Chinese bots, I'm totally aware of it. I mean, y'all boost up the algorithm anyway for me. I'm not going to block you, but people with intelligence, real human beings, real Americans, just peep some of the activity in the chat and you can see it for what it is. These are people that are for the destruction of the U.S. Like straight up. These are not your friends. All of these people in the chat, they're not all your friends at all. No, some of them are your enemies and want you dead and are playing like they're American citizens. Check it.
And they are able to formulate psychological warfare in the United States through these oligarchs.
And you ain't going to get me. Because I know Americans very well. I'm American. You're not going to get me. You won't get me at all. I don't go for the bullshit. And I've been saying this. I'm not blocking trolls. They help boost up the algorithm. They help more people see it. Actually, the trolls do, just because they're there. It's a real person and they're doing something, but it's not an American citizen. And it's a person, people pretending to be folks that they're not.
Like Elon Musk, who has been over for Donald Trump,
paid
$300 million to have him elected, allows all of this misinformation, disinformation, bots all over his website. We all know that Mark Zuckerberg admitted on Joe Rogan's podcast that he felt like he had been neutered because of accountability, and now he feels unshackled. So he runs massive information delivery systems, and all of these nefarious actors are on there rallying us up. And they're promoting this civil war.
They're promoting a civil war. So you see, MAGA folk, the people that got tired of Trump, the MAGA people that got tired of Trump, when they saw this Epstein shit, see, there was a split. There was a split. And what's happening is these people that want war in the U.S., they don't want a split. They don't want that MAGA split. They don't want that. They don't want MAGA people anymore going after the Epstein files. Watch, you're going to see this. They're going to be people that pretend like they're pro-Trump, but in the reality, they're anti-American. Trust.
They're promoting that we can't come together as Americans, that somebody like me and Pumps couldn't sit down with, I'm talking like far right podcasters like Tucker Carlson. Well, we know he's in the tank for Vladimir Putin, or Steve Bannon, and say, hey, wait, hold up. We're Americans. You should talk. I should talk.
Yep.
We need to come together. We're on different sides of the.
And I'm going to tell you, see, a lot of these prejudiced bigots, a lot of these people that's been living in these small towns across America, very, very isolated people. But I've actually traveled across the U.S. to a lot of different places with these people in where these communities are. And you know what? A lot of these people you can actually talk to if you're a real American. You could talk to these people because I'm going to tell you, this is why I say this every day. Even if you're MAGA, even if you're not MAGA, no matter what type of, if you're MAGA or not, understand something. When you're talking to me, you're talking to a real goddamn American. One that's showing his face, one whose family on both sides go back to the colonial period. So I'm not bullshitting about anything about my message at all. Not one bit at all. So just listen. I'm concerned about talking to people like that. People, real Americans. It's no diss to immigrants. It's no diss to first generation, second generation. Nah, because that's what these MAGA people did. They try to attack people, but they're phony because a lot of these anti-immigrant people, are immigrants. A lot of these, guess what? Homosexual people are homos on the right side, like straight up. Excuse my language, but I'm just saying a lot of them are fake like this. You got to learn the game, but let's listen to some more.
Of the aisle, but we need to come together to save the First Amendment. It's too broken now. It's just so broken. And the reason that Trump keeps capitulating to Putin is because, number one, I think Putin has him compromised. But number two, he's an ally with Putin. Trump is an ally with Putin in Putin's long-term game to enact psychological warfare.
Psychological warfare. And if you got to understand, I said this a week ago, but I've been saying this for a minute. You are in a war right now. And what has been used against you since Trump got around and leaning up, just getting heavier and heavier over time with the entrance of Trump, has been Russian disinformation, military grade disinformation, military grade psychological warfare has accompanied Trump. Trump is not on his own. Trump has people helping him. Separately, you could call it a conglomerate. Maybe not one group, but they know how to help the persons that are going to do the worst for the U.S. And that's exactly what they do online. And that's exactly what they've been doing for Trump. They don't give a fuck about Trump. They probably do have compromising information on Trump. That wouldn't even be news. But the thing about it is that they help his campaign. Soon as someone says something like, take away the First Amendment, the bots all of a sudden, yeah, it's okay to take away the First Amendment. The bots go crazy. Anything that screws over the U.S., the bots are always there. I don't know what the problem is. Trump has always done right by me. It's this kind of shit, y'all. Check it.
On the American public. And that's what's happening here. And you know what? It's brilliant. Mm-hmm. He's been very, very successful at this. And then I want to move along regarding Kimmel. And I think the number one way to fight fascism is to never obey in advance, ever. And all of these.
Yeah, I told you, the bots, they always love Trump. They always love Trump. And any message about Americans, they hate. They don't want American unity. They don't want unity between the left and the right. They want division. Yes. And they celebrate stupid shit.
oligarchs that have done their show and tell trophy presentations who immediately obeyed in advance. You think you can trust these fuckers? You really think that? You're so naive.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that think you can trust these fuckers. Look, who is this? Poet King thinks you can trust these fuckers. Poet King thinks you can trust these fuckers. Who else? Unique UK thinks you can trust these fuckers. He does, straight up. They do. It's a lot. It's a lot, and most of them, they're not American at all. I'm telling you. Just trolling.
So short-sighted, and your lack of conviction is going to be the one thing that ruins your little private empire that you have built. And I want to give a shout out to Stephen Colbert, who has been on Trump's enemy list. That's where we live, where the president of the United States has an enemy, and that enemy is a comedian. That's how pathetic Donald Trump is. Stephen Colbert comes out last night in defense of his friend Jimmy Kimmel and in just robust support for the First Amendment. Play the clip.
Listen up. In light of Jimmy Kimmel.
All right, so you get the point, which is the reason why I'm playing this. Like, you're going to hear more about this, and I'm sorry to say this, that people should have been saying this a while ago. I know I've been saying this shit for over a year. Like, straight up. Psychological warfare. Straight up. I've been saying that. I noticed. Now check this out. The bots. A lot of times people talk about the bots in connection with the first election, the first Trump election, regarding Hillary and splitting up, this kind of bot activity, right? But a lot of people noticed that because of that election. But at the same time, I noticed something else. And this is a word out to people of African descent, which are all over the Americas, right, from the colonial period and all over the world from then on, right, in many places, right. There was a big disinformation campaign put out to people of African descent to create a lot of this petty ass bickering you see on the internet. People, this type of African and this type of black person and black Americans against Africans and disinformation, psychological warfare. And I've been saying that for a minute. What you hear on the net does not match what's on the ground. When you look in the chat right here, you don't meet no goddamn people like this in real life. You don't. A lot of the chat is real, but you can see what I'm talking about. Maybe 25%, these people don't exist in real life. Their attitude don't exist. It's only on the internet. Straight up.
Suspension. ABC's parent company is Walt Disney Corporation has a little message for all the employees. Shut your trap.
All right. So let me get on to the next one. Let's see here. Where we at now? Are we at this one? Right here. Is it this? Oh, okay. I see what I'm doing. Here we go. What is this one called? Yeah. Okay, so now they're talking about Jimmy Kimmel, right? So let's go over to that. Here we go.
And frankly, some downright fabrications about what Kimmel specifically said in terms of his characterization of the shooter, the assassin. But let us assume, for the purpose of argument, the absolute purity of his critics. The question is, are they upset that this comedian invoked a horrific act of violence to make jokes? Because I don't recall any of these voices expressing any dismay after former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband was brutally attacked by a home intruder with a hammer, resulting in...
Exactly. So we know this freedom of speech thing is really what they do again. They find an issue to use the issue as a mask for what they really want. So now that they had this little split among left and right, over the killing of Kirk, his language and all of this stuff, let me tell you, Trump don't give a goddamn about Kirk. If you think he gives a fuck about Charlie Kirk, you are stupid. You are stupid. You are way too trusting and way too innocent or way too dumb. Either way, or you're a troll. But this guy, they used that issue. See, once they saw that left and right would be divided, now he goes in and he uses Charlie Kirk as a veil to do what? Now go after freedom of speech. You see how they do it? You see? In other words, that would be called asymmetric politics. When you grab onto a quote unquote freedom of speech dude, right? But you use his issue the exact opposite way. And a lot of people are too stupid to even see it. But again, that split among MAGA, the intelligent MAGA, the MAGA that might, that might have some sense, a little bit of sense, they can see it. They can see through it. These are like people that are actually know what the hell they're talking about. What is it to be American? Freedom of speech, the First Amendment. Right? What's number 2? The right to bear arms. That's in our Constitution. Right? You see? And what they want to do is find a way, and they've been looking for it, to take away the speech and then take away the weapons, because they want what has been built. And they cannot take what has been built from the American people if you don't agree to shut up and put down your arms. Watch.
Pelosi's lifelong debilitating injuries.
They didn't give a damn about Charlie Kirk, just like they didn't give a damn about Pelosi. They don't give a damn. It just doesn't matter. Trump doesn't give a damn. He doesn't give a damn. But it's hypocritical to talk about one issue, Kirk, and then pretend to the world, pretend to Americans that you weren't out there saying nasty, horrific shit about real life events, people really getting attacked in their homes, people actually getting hurt. It's total hypocrisy. But of course, it wasn't about being real. It's actually about finding the split between left and right, and now trying to take something for people and hoping that they fall for it. That's what that was about.
The president's son joked about it, posting a Paul Pelosi Halloween costume, and others mined this vicious attack for fun.
We'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi, who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know?
So are they upset because they say Kimmel was misrepresenting, lying about the shooter's political views? Now, Kimmel's defenders say he was not saying that this was a MAGA person, but even if he had been saying it, here's the question. Are lies consistently problematic for the Trump administration and its allies? Do lies offend President Trump?
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats.
Or is what's going on with Kimmel's show right now all because, as President Trump said on Air Force One yesterday, all these TV networks do is, quote, hit Trump?
And see, they set up an attitude now. This is where the trolls pick up. The trolls don't care if he just says a blatant lie like that. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. The trolls still say, yeah, Trump 2024.
Therefore, they should have their licenses taken away. We should note it is an American right to mock any president. In fact, during the Biden years, then FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr said political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while using humor to draw more people into the discussion. In January, Carr, who is now the chairman of the FCC, said, quote, free speech is the bedrock of democracy. Hear to both of those sentiments. But then this week, Carr went on that right-wing podcast and said it was time for local TV stations to, quote, step up, and declared that this, quote, garbage, meaning the Kimmel show, is not something they want on their airwaves. Moments ago, Trump called Brendan Carr a, quote, courageous person. Now, enter Nexstar. Nexstar is the largest owner of local TV stations in the entire United States. Nexstar is also trying to purchase its largest rival, Tegna, for $6.2 billion.
So basically, you have rich people folding to Trump, because obviously not all, some of them are in on the scam, but a lot of them are just afraid. They don't know what to do. And if you have a president that's allowed to go rogue, this is what you get. It becomes only about money. So these people are making moves, making decisions, but it has nothing to do with not one MAGA life, not one Republican life, not one American life. It has everything to do with trying to be conglomerates. everything to do with trying to have monopoly, everything to do with more money in my pocket, not to make sure the average person has more access to health care or more. No, these people are apolitical when it comes to the average American citizen. Apolitical, meaning that if you just die on the street, millions of you, for any reason whatsoever, just because of bad government, they're not going to say nothing about it. If your First Amendment rights gets taken away from you, they're not going to say nothing about it. They're not going to interfere. If your gun rights get taken away from you, really, the way they're going, not one story. There won't even be one story. This is where it's headed to. And you're getting warnings. You're getting warnings. You don't have to take them. You don't have to take them, but you're getting warnings. So
if the FCC were to approve the sale, well, then Nexstar would be violating an FCC rule about owning too many, more than 39% of local TV households. So Nexstar not only needs cars.
All right, let me pull it forward a little bit here.
It's the exact opposite of what he and his administration promised that they would do when it came to free speech.
I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America.
See, but this is Trump for you. Asymmetric politics. Say one thing, do the opposite. Say one thing to get the vote, do the opposite. And the people that voted for him, they're very proud people. These MAGA voters, they're very proud people. Rural Americans, from the countryside, from small town America, they're very, very proud people. In fact, J.D. Vance even wrote a book about that, saying that they're sometimes too proud in the wrong things. And these kind of people, when they make a bad decision, their ego and their pride is what the Republican Party holds them with, and turns and twists them with, because they're afraid, because of their pride, to admit they've been bamboozled, they've been hoodwinked, like flat out. They're too afraid. And when someone from the left tries to tell them, that even goes against their pride. You see what I mean? Because they literally see left people as big city folk. You see what I mean? Instead of actually realizing that no, Americans, real Americans that actually come from the East Coast, come from big cities, real Americans that have fought in the military in all these wars since the beginning. They actually, the country, especially the East Coast, the damn country was founded on the East Coast. So what do you expect? But they imagine it differently because they allowed divisive politics. They allowed it first because of racial issues, right? Then religion, all types of things. But it's really been crafted that way due to issues of race, which is why you hear a lot of people always quote and say the Republican Party, they were the ones that's free from slavery. It was the Democrats that didn't want it. Yeah, and it switched. See, they acknowledged that. But in the 60s, the party switched because of Kennedy. You see, Martin Luther King actually wasn't really happy to be voting for a Democrat. But Kennedy was one of the first that was like, you know what, we have to deal with the civil rights issue, and was willing to speak about it publicly. That's how the Democrat Party became a civil rights party, and a party that African Americans supported, and others, women's rights, a women's rights party, which is why you see a lot of women represented in the Democrat Party. Way more congressional members, way more senators in the Democratic Party, way more mayors. All of this.
Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents.
And under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square.
And now they're trying to ban it. Very simple. Now they're trying to ban it. You hear that? We may not disagree with your views, but we will fight for the right. Yep, they just needed your vote. They just needed your vote.
They're not doing that. In fact, they're doing the opposite.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Donald Trump's administration has been attacking free expression since he got back into office, threatening critics with prosecution, targeting colleges and law firms. deporting protesters or student op-ed writers, or putting...
Yo, do me a favor. Click the like button. Subscribe. It's like 300 people watching. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. It helps more people see the video. Obviously, you're watching. Let's get some more people.
Them into detention, who are here on legal visas for the views they expressed, and then arresting people who protest the deportations. None of it's been particularly popular. The White House's latest overreach appears to have ignited an angry national backlash, openly using the threat of government power to pressure one of the country's biggest, most storied corporations, Disney, to indefinitely suspend ABC late-night host Jimmy Kimmel for offending MAGA sensibilities. It's Trump's most high-visibility authoritarian attack on free speech, and yet that's really saying something. Hundreds of demonstrators, many of them writers and actors, gathered outside Kimmel's Hollywood studio today, as well as Disney.
All right, so y'all seen this. Y'all seen this. He's gotten rid of Kimball. He got rid of the other cat before. I mean, they're going after this. And it's not without a method. There's a method here. They are afraid of the midterm elections. They are totally afraid. They're totally afraid of the midterm elections. Why? Because if you have a supermajority in the Senate, meaning 60 out of 100 representatives that want to impeach and kick out of power, not just impeach, but impeach and kick them out of office, you need a supermajority. You need 60 senators. They're afraid of that happening in this midterm election. You need only just a majority in Congress to impeach. You don't need a supermajority. So this is what they're afraid of. And they know that the polls aren't looking good. So vote. Anybody telling you don't believe in your vote is either ignorant as fuck or a troll. Russian disinformation, Chinese disinformation, getting paid some pennies somewhere in some part of the world, or they're just dumb. You don't put down tools when you have everything to lose and you only have these tools available. Your vote is your tool. Otherwise, what the hell? You may as well just put down your gun and put down your First Amendment right and just shut the fuck up and beat it. You see what I mean? Straight up. I mean, that's my feeling about it. I don't want to stand next to nobody that don't vote, because the easiest thing it is to do, as long as there's no police stopping you or the government stopping you, the easiest thing to do is vote. That's easier than picking up a gun. That's easier. You see me? That's easier than going outside and protesting. Vote one goddamn day, you lazy asses. Don't come here with this don't vote shit. Unless you're a troll. Then I understand. But in any case, let's move on, because this is connected. Midterm elections. And what is killing them in the midterm elections? What's actually killing them? I'm pretty sure you know what's killing them in the midterm elections. Let's see here. Boom. It's this that's killing them in the midterm elections. They are scared shitless because they have no remedy for this. They have been caught red-handed. Yes, Trump is all in them Epstein files in a bad way. Bad in every single bad way that you could ever think of. Pedophilia, highly likely. Espionage and blackmail, highly likely. And people adjacent to him, pedophiles, blackmail, espionage, highly likely the people adjacent to him. That's right. People that are donors to him or others, others. And keep in mind, if the public never knows who these people are, these people could be blackmailed to eternity until they die. And a lot of these people could be judges. They could be representatives in Congress or in the Senate, or they could be high-powered donors. You see what I mean? Like Elon Musk. You see? So let's take a listen.
Our first hour with Mr. Acosta. Okay, thank you. My name is Robert Garcia. I'm the ranking member of the Oversight Committee. We've got Oversight Democrats here. I think most folks know that we have Alex Acosta with us here for the next few hours.
Hey, folks, don't worry about me. I know a lot of people got my back. I know it's a lot of real Americans in this chat, and even more, a lot of real Americans listening, and also real folk. But when you hear me talking to the trolls, just let me do that for a second, just so so they so we can teach everybody how to peep game. Look at their comments, and you will know. All right, peace. I'm gonna let this run.
Is obviously right now involved in a line of questioning on both Republican and Democrats. So we've just finished our first hour with Mr. Acosta, and so we do have some comments members are going to talk about, and then this will continue throughout the day. Just to be very clear, I just want to make some things clear that we made clear and that we heard from Mr. Acosta just in this first hour. Now it's very clear that Alex Acosta ran a deeply flawed investigation of the Epstein case. That's clear. He also would not admit that Mr. Epstein received a sweetheart deal, which has been widely reported.
Okay, folks. So let me give you some background. This was a closed hearing that they're talking about. This is not one of the open ones. We saw the open ones where they were grilling Cash Patel, and we're going to see some more of that, right? But this was a closed one with Acosta's because apparently there's some things they were worried about, information in there they didn't want, blah, blah, blah. But so they're coming out halfway through or a quarter of the way through, and they're just letting people know what the first round of questioning went like. The public will never see it. You understand this? So listen very closely.
Agreed upon since that deal was actually made by Mr. Acosta and his team. So he would not admit, and in fact stands by the decision to have given Mr. Epstein a sweetheart deal, which was only 18 months, and which during that time he went on to abuse multiple women that he raped during that time. Well, he was supposed to, of course, have been in jail by the team by Acosta. Let me also just add, which I think is really important. In his questioning, he also agreed and stood by those decisions and would not claim any responsibility to the victims, and in fact said and was admitted that he had no knowledge of what happened to those victims, even to this day, when asked directly if he actually knew that people were being abused, that women were abused during that time. He would not admit that he knew that information and actually refused to acknowledge the victims. And so with that, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Crockett, and everyone's going to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ranker. And I think I want to pick up on where Congressman Garcia left off. It is this idea that he is not experiencing what most of us experience, which is that hindsight is 20/20. He seems to be pretty dug in on the decisions that he made. And so for me, obviously, I wanted to dig in a little bit and try to ascertain why is it that he felt so confident. And unfortunately, I heard things that disturbed me, such as, well, back in 2006, it was a different time. And it seemed as if we were going back to a little bit of victim shaming and believing that, well, nobody's going to believe these girls or these women, so we're not going to necessarily have a good case. And so instead of rolling the dice, or I don't remember, I think it was a crapshoot was what was said, instead of taking a crapshoot, we just decided that this would be better and this may guarantee that he actually spent some time in custody. Think about that. Think about the responsibility that is upon a prosecutor to go after a child predator and then to say, well, at the end of the day, we don't think they would have been believed. As someone who has been in these courtrooms, who has had to defend against these very types of cases, let me tell you something. And I did try to educate him on the experts that we have that can lay out whether or not a child has any inconsistencies as it relates to the trauma that they have experienced. It doesn't seem like either Mr. Acosta was equipped to be the U.S. attorney at that time, or he's just playing in our faces. I haven't really figured out which one, but neither one of these ultimate conclusions should be okay for the American people.
Hello, Brady. Congressman Maxwell Frost. I 100% agree with what Congresswoman Crockett just said. Mr. Acosta, at least to us in this deposition, essentially said he didn't have faith in the victims their stories and their ability to tell their own story and their own testimony, which is deeply disturbing to all of us sitting in there. Not just that, but it seems like Mr. Acosta really had no idea about what was going on in his own office during this investigation, during the deliberation on this, on what is the most high-profile case that his office handled during that time period, which is also a very disturbing fact, given all the other cases that they handle as well. There's going to be more questions, but something else we also talked about was his time in being considered to be Secretary of Labor. Another place where he didn't have much information to give us, didn't have much recollection of specific questions that the administration might have asked him about the Epstein case when they were vetting him and considering him to be on the president's cabinet. He did not have much for us there. He gave some, some things he thought he maybe could have remembered. And I think it was just deflection. And so there'll be more questions around this. But as we know, to this day, when he resigned being Secretary of Labor, he still contends that it's had nothing to do with this case. And I think we all know much better than that.
All right. So just some background on this, right? Just some background on this. These victims, and I've been playing this clip. It's a news clip, right? I believe it's MSNBC, but they quoted several of the victims. You know, it's corroborated that back in the 90s when this was happening, right? They were telling Ghislaine Maxwell, right, was telling these girls, these victims, one of the things, the game she was running on them, one of the reasons why they were not speaking up so early is because Ghislaine Maxwell was telling these victims, these girls, that they were sex trafficking, these sex trafficked slaves, right, that are involved in espionage, right? They were telling them that it's nothing you can do because we own the police. We own the DA, the district attorney. At that time, the DA was headed up by Acosta. We own the FBI. That's what they were telling them. Just to be clear, so you understand who you're dealing with, right? That's what they were telling them back then. Who lived in Florida? Trump was in Florida. Epstein was in Florida. Their best friends, they both know Ghislaine Maxwell, and Ghislaine Maxwell is telling the victims, we own the police, we own the FBI, and we own the DA. So just for some context.
All right. Well, good morning. I'm Melanie Stansbury, and I represent New Mexico's 1st Congressional District. I want to lay out some key facts for you all. It is our understanding from the victims' attorneys that there were at least 40 minors who gave sworn statements to the FBI as part of the investigation before a decision was made.
All right, so 40 minors. This is in the Florida case. They took depositions. They took interviews of 40, not depositions, but interviews, the police, of 40 minors. Took their stories. So Cash Patel he's claiming to not have any of that. You see? This is you see that, right? I hope you see that, but let's let it play.
In this case, that they had been raped, abused, and trafficked. Over 40 minors. Statements to. All right. Well, good morning. I'm Melanie Stansbury, and I represent New Mexico's 1st Congressional District. I want to lay out some key facts for you all. It is our understanding from the victims' attorneys that there were at least 40 minors who gave sworn statements to the FBI as part of the investigation before a decision was made in this case that they had been raped, abused, and trafficked. Over 40 minors. And the line prosecutor in this case wrote an 82-page memo to the leadership in the U.S. Attorney's Office recommending a prosecution. And she was so convinced, based on the evidence and interviews that she had taken and reviewed, that she drafted a 53-page indictment in this case. And what Mr. Acosta just told us is that based on his assessment of the case with his team, that he did not see sufficient evidence to move forward with prosecuting the case, that there were weaknesses in the case.
Right. Now,
When asked.
So people, you see how this sits together? Cash Patel can show everybody what those cases look like, what those statements are. He doesn't have to tell you the names. He can redact the names of the victims, right? But he can tell you, to give you background of what these 40 girls actually said. And these aren't all the people. These are just the minors. These are not the ones above 18. These are not the ones above 18. These are the minors. They can tell you. Cash Patel can release them. He can tell people. They can do that. You see what I mean? But for some reason, they don't want that to happen. And why do you think that is? Is it because some of them talking about Trump? What do you think?
If he made the decision as to whether or not to fully prosecute this case, he took responsibility for it. He said it was the decision of him and his team. But when asked if he had directly reviewed the evidence itself, this case, he said that he had not actually read the statements of the victims.
So you see that. That's also peculiar, because we heard Cash Patel 2 days ago also say he hasn't read loads of that stuff. He hasn't looked at loads of it. Most of the files, most of the stories, most of the witness testimonies, most of the anything, pictures, photographs, videos, la 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 la. Cash Patel hasn't either. So this would be the second time two people at the head of the chain, right? At the head of the chain, make decisions and say they haven't seen any of the stuff. You know, there's loads of stuff they haven't seen, even witnessed, even looked over themselves, but they're going to make the decision to shut it down. And this would be the second time. Who else worked for that DA back in Florida? Pam Bondi worked for that DA. I believe she actually took over after Acosta left. So she knows all of those stories too. She's not asking for it to be released. She hasn't released. You see what I mean? So it's the Justice Department and the FBI. Both of them are keeping this shit covered up. And it's loads. It's loads.
So let me just say this. Something doesn't smell right here. We have a number of hours that we will be spending today to understand what and if Mr. Acosta understood the full scope of the evidence, what he used to make his decisions, and why he chose, instead of pursuing a prosecution in which we know there were at least 40 minors, and afterwards there were many more victims during the non-prosecution period, why he made that decision. And so we will be pursuing that in the coming hours in this interview under oath, but something doesn't smell right here, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
I'm Congressman Suhas from Virginia's 10th Congressional District.
I'm sure they wrapped it up for the day. I think they had another public appearance where they reiterate similar things. Let me look that up real quick.
Everyone seems to agree that there was this terrible miscarriage of justice in this case, except Alex Acosta. He thinks that his sweetheart deal was actually the best course of action and still seems to stand by it. And he was investigating Jeffrey Epstein, who was a close friend of Donald Trump's, and this came up during his vetting process to join the Trump administration. And so it seems like it's starting to make more sense every day to me why the Trump administration won't release the files, is because Alex Acosta was involved in the sweetheart deal. And it seems like the Trump administration is going to continue this cover-up until Oversight Dems gets to the bottom of this, because we're the ones that have actually been pushing the right questions in this case.
Good afternoon. It is clear from what we have heard, and we know this, Alex Acosta.
Just for reference, this discharge petition also, right now, it only needs 218 congressional members to sign it. It has 217. 3 Republicans signed it. The rest are Democrats. So just in case you want to know, now, me, I don't give a fuck what your party is. If you didn't sign this, you are not for the American people at all. You are against the USA if you didn't sign this. Why? Because behind this is a piece to the puzzle regarding this war that is ongoing against American people, like flat out. It's a piece to the puzzle in there. It's not just about the girls. It's also about the espionage and the blackmail. Who's blackmailing? And once you know who's blackmailing and what they have on these people, what could be out there, right? You can combine that with other actions that who is actually doing. And we know who the who is. We know who the who is. There's various components. It's not one component. It's not two component. It's not three. It's 3 or 4. Some of them are business people trying to buy up the United States of America and funding this onslaught of politicians that can't even sign a discharge petition to release the Epstein files. You see, these people are being funded by somebody. You see, who is that? The person that's going to get the tax break. The person that wants to get all the government contracts. The person that wants to raid the treasury. The person that wants to own all your private data. And it's a couple of them, like 2 or 3 or 4 of them. You see what I mean? And guess who's paying for them? Guess who's feeding them? The American people and the tax dollars. You may as well be watching a Matrix episode where they just stick the shit right in your body and you're just there to provide energy for them. That's what they have made you. That's what it is for real. That's what they're living off your blood, sweat, and tears. And they got billions. One of them even wants to be a goddamn trillionaire. Every cent that he got, that's your blood, sweat, and tears. So you decide who you want to give your blood, sweat, and tears to while you can't get health care, while you can't get equal access or adequate access to education, higher education. You keep giving them your tax dollars. You keep funding the billionaires and the billionaires and the billionaires to own all your shit. Right now, people are getting kicked out of their homes because they couldn't even get the damn FEMA money to repair their home after a disaster. Do you know what's happening to people? Who you think gonna buy up their land? Who you think gonna buy up that destroyed land? Who do you think?
Helped Jeffrey Epstein evade the law. Allowing Epstein a single state charge and a non-prosecution agreement is a slap in the wrist, despite over 30 identified victims at the time. As my colleagues have mentioned, it is clear that Alex Acosta holds no remorse and does not feel, even in hindsight, that Jeffrey Epstein received a sweetheart deal. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, we all sat in the room with the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. We heard directly from them, including individuals who were raped and abused by Epstein during this sweetheart deal and during the time period where Alex Acosta made sure that Jeffrey Epstein was able to evade the law. I continue to have more questions now than I did walking into the room earlier today, because this is somebody who is not clearly answering questions. We still need to find out, why is it that the Donald Trump administration felt that he deserved to be the Secretary of Labor during the first Trump administration? So many questions are left to be answered.
You hear that? Why did Donald Trump pick him? Because he was the DA during the Epstein situation in Florida in the beginning? The one who gave the guy his buddy the sweetheart deal? The one that also gave Ghislaine Maxwell, in lieu of that sweetheart deal, a sweetheart deal? I mean, think about it. Come on, get real about it. There's only so many pieces you need to line up before you know what it is, pretty much, for all intensive purposes. Yeah, you might find out a little more in some more extras here and there, but you know the main gist of it. These pieces are not aligned for no reason. They were picked specifically for a reason by someone, and all this shit ain't happening to you by accident.
I think Alex Acosta is a small but important part of this, and it's important to remember that this is a massive cover-up. There are many more people involved, financial institutions involved, potentially foreign governments involved, but this is one key part to getting to the bottom.
Foreign governments involved, and you better believe it. And the main culprits hate you. They hate all Americans. They don't give a goddamn about you. They want you dead. Like, seriously. The people that are funding these trolls want every single American dead. You have to understand that. You have to understand that. And you know what? Right now, people that keeps talking about Republicans and Democrats, I only do that to describe certain groups. But actually, this is not about Republicans and Democrats. This is only about American citizens. This is only about American citizens. This is not about your dumbass Republican ass or your fucking Democrat ass. This is about your freedom. Both parties are supposed to be concerned about freedom. All parties are supposed to be concerned about freedom. Freedom of speech, Second Amendment, right to bear arms, and the rest of them. And the rest of them. All. If you are not for all of them and you're not concerned for all of them, you are just a petty ass. That's what you are as a human being. You're a tax-paying petty ass. Just like a person that would pay all them goddamn taxes and dare say they wouldn't vote. You are petty. Petty. You will always get scraps and you deserve it for being so petty.
And getting to the answers that we need to get justice for the survivors.
Hi, Congressman Dave Min out of California 47, and before coming to Congress, I was a law professor at UC Irvine. And I'll tell you, after the first hour sitting with Alex Acosta, I found him to be completely non-credible as a witness. His answers were evasive, they obfuscated, and they were just not believable. Just to give you one example, we know that his chief federal prosecutor, in addition to bringing a long charging memo and a prosecution memo, had actually said that the computer evidence that was being withheld by the defense at that point in time, all these files, the surveillance videos, perhaps child pornography, they were not producing it. She had said that that was a smoking gun. That would put this whole thing to bed. When I asked Alex Acosta about this, his response was that he didn't actually review the evidence on this case and would have no input on this, which is just impossible.
He did a Cash Patel.
To believe, given the high-profile nature of Jeffrey Epstein at the time, given the fact that Alex Acosta was having meetings with the attorneys for Jeffrey Epstein contemporaneously with all this, completely non-credible. I doubt we'll get a lot of honesty out of him today, but what we're hoping to get is a roadmap to the types of evidence that we can demand from, as the Oversight Committee, from the Epstein estate, a roadmap to that, and of course we're going to continue to get, I believe, a lack of remorse, a lot of obfuscation out of Alex Acosta. Very frustrating, but we are going to get answers. Thank you.
All right, let me just see who else is coming
up. From Virginia's 11th District. I was sworn into Congress last week, and one of the first things I did was sign the discharge petition to release the Epstein files.
Yes,
and
thank you.
What I heard today, validated that decision for me. There is a clear through line over the course of this Epstein tragedy, and it is a callous disregard for the victims and the survivors. And Mr. Acosta demonstrated that today. We know that he signed off on the sweetheart deal for Jeffrey Epstein.
And one thing to take note of is none of these people that they're talking about, not Cash Patel, not Pam Bondi, not Trump, and not Mike Johnson. Really, Mike Johnson, he fake, but let's leave Mike Johnson out of it. None of them, if you listen to them, for some prosecutors, Pam Bondi and Cash Patel, they don't seem to have any sweet words for any of the victims. Guess who they got sweet words for? Charlie Kirk. I'll see you in Valhalla, brother. I'll see you in Valhalla, brother. Like, if you ask him about the victims, he acts like he don't even notice them. Nothing about the heart, nothing about the families crushed, nothing about them still being alive, persevering, seeking justice, demanding justice, wanting our government to move on, step it up. You see what I mean? Nothing about that. Nothing about I feel for you. Nothing about we're connected. Nothing, sister. Valhalla, I'll see you in. None of that shit. They said nothing about what's her name? Giuffre, Virginia Giuffre. She's dead now. Allegedly committed suicide. Right? Was threatened had her life threatened if she moved forward, and she was brave enough to move forward anyway. But all of these victims had their life threatened, and this dude don't have they have zero compassion for them. These people are, I'm telling you, in the soul and in the heart, they're dead. In the soul and in the heart, they are dead. If they can treat victims like this, what do you think they think about you? Just think about that.
Without consulting with the survivors. Today, he refused to accept what those survivors have told us, that after Jeffrey Epstein was released as a result of that sweetheart deal, he went on to abuse more women. A callous disregard for victims and survivors. And we are going to continue to push and push and push and fight so that those survivors get the transparency and the justice that they deserve. Thank you.
Let me just close up, and then if there's one question or two, we've got to get back to this deposition of these interviews. Just want to remind everyone, so we actually heard from the survivors just recently. This was just a couple of weeks ago. One of the survivors that was there was very clear that she was abused and assaulted and raped by Jeffrey Epstein during his work release, and during that time when he was out, during that 18-month period that was given to him by Mr. Acosta and his team. And yet Mr. Acosta stands by the deal, stands by the fact that women were assaulted and raped during that time, and clearly many before, and would not even agree that anyone was actually abused during that time. We asked him directly if he actually...
You hear this? You hear this? He wouldn't agree. This is... How can you not agree? If you're not there, how can you agree or disagree? All you have is the people that... This is outrageous.
To him by Mr. Acosta and his team. And yet Mr. Acosta stands by the deal, stands by the fact that women were assaulted and raped during that time, and clearly many before, and would not even agree that anyone was actually abused during that time. We asked him directly if he actually understood that during the sentence that Jeffrey Epstein received, that he went on to abuse other women, and he would not answer that question. He said he was not aware that that actually happened, that he could not confirm that that actually happened. That has been widely reported. And so he is completely not credible, and he's has been clearly involved in the broader cover-up that is happening right now, clearly being directed by the White House and the Attorney General. Lastly, we call again on the President and the Attorney General to release the Epstein files so that the full truth of what happened can be released to the public, and most importantly, the survivors to get the justice that they deserve. There's one question or two, and then we're going to head back.
Mr. Garcia, you've covered a lot on Acosta, but we need to ask you about the Jeff Zients transcript. There's been a lot of reporting about his testimony regarding the president's cognitive ability when he was president, suggested that he needed multiple meetings to make decisions, that he'd slowed down. Do you agree with the characterization about what's been reported, and what was your take on that interview?
Look, I think the Republicans keep trying to focus on the past, and they keep focusing on President Biden and his health, while they're ripping away health care from 17 million Americans. Right now, we're focused on the Epstein interview. Yes.
During this first part of this interview, did any more names come up that you might want to investigate, or who might have been, quote, on this client list?
I think that every single interview conversation that we have, there are more people that we want to talk to, and certainly more information that we need. But in order to get to the truth, we need the release of the files. Next question.
You brought up vetting several times around his labor secretary position. Did Acosta say he was actually asked about the Epstein investigation while he was vetted for labor secretary?
He was evasive.
He was very evasive about it.
Yeah. So he was asked that question, and he wouldn't really answer the question.
I don't think we got a clear answer. I don't believe we got a clear answer who Acosta was speaking with, or representatives of who may have been speaking to him, not just before that confirmation, but also possibly after. And with that, we're...
Labor secretary?
He was evasive.
He was very evasive about it.
Yeah. So So he was asked that question and he wouldn't really answer the question.
I don't think we got a clear answer. I don't believe we got a clear answer who Acosta was speaking with or representatives of who may have been speaking to him, not just before that confirmation, but also possibly after. And with that, we're going to actually head back to the question. So thank you very much.
All right. So, yeah, now that was a pretty important meeting because the public won't get a chance to see it. It's not, I mean, it's not public. It's for private. So, they take notes, they take minutes, but all of it won't be released because of the nature of Acosta's. You know, if they ask him a question that has something to do with something that is maybe quote unquote, you know, secret, top secret, or not, you know, just something, given the fact that he was a public figure at that time, a civil servant at that time, right? So in the U.S. government, appointed to the labor secretary, although I don't know what the hell that has to do with it, but maybe it has something to do with the FBI case in general. I don't know. But myself, you could hear that this guy is not trying to help. And actually a lot of the excuses that he gave back then, they're very parallel to Cash Patel, actually. Now, I wanted to pivot back over before I get out of here. I got to get out of here soon. I wanted to, hey, y'all, speaking of that, before I play this Jasmine Crockett joint, because she got into, I forgot to play this, she got into Cash Patel's or asked Patel's ass the other day. But before I do this, anybody, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't click like. I'd appreciate it. It helps more people come into the thread and contribute more. It allows the message to get out to more people in these times. If you're for the message, if you're not, fuck you. I don't care. Now, next, let me see here. Jasmine, right. Okay, here we go. Let's get this one up here. Watch Jasmine Crockett dig in.
Without objection.
Okay, so here's the deal. How are we supposed to have confidence when you're sitting up here telling the Senate yesterday that it will take you 14 years before you can get the FBI fully staffed to do their jobs? You're also now redirecting resources so that they can go and play ICE agents on the streets. You're getting rid of your most qualified people. And even when it came down to somebody that you consider to be a friend, you were posted up having some fancy dinner to the extent that you posted not only once erroneously, you posted twice erroneously as it relates to catching somebody. And then you want to go and say, let me take a victory lap. Because honestly, if it wasn't for parents deciding that they were going to turn in their child, it seems like y'all wouldn't have got there.
Exactly. They're claiming some kind of case. Man, the damn parent saw the photograph and turned the kid in. What if somebody that knew him didn't turn him in? You know what I mean? Let alone the parent. The parent turned him in. What if the parent didn't turn him in? Then what? Then what you going to do? Who you going to hear from? You know, they played it off like, oh, I'm just letting the police do police work. Yeah, we know, because goddamn, the police did the work. The local police knew the dude, the damn sheriff knew the father personally. The priest, the Mormon priest knew the boy. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this is so crazy. Anyway, yeah, let's hear some more.
With them, I'll give you one more chance.
My job as the FBI director is to
Is the
invite all
answer yes or
investigative
no
leads.
to whether
Oh, I'm sorry.
Even though he literally confessed online. So I'm confused about what it is that the FBI is doing except for trying to put on a show for the apprentice or whatever you want to call him.
Donald J. Trump.
The day after all of this took place,
the guy who, has some enigmas.
there was domestic terrorism that was taking place at HBCUs. They were targeted. Yet I didn't hear anything from the FBI about what was going on. And again, black people kept saying, how did we end up in this? Because the numbers are so very clear that white supremacy is a problem. And honestly, I've not heard anything out of you today that makes me believe that you're going to do anything about the white supremacy problem. The one that is leading to children being killed, children being shot. as well as members of their community as they're worshiping in their churches.
The time of the gentlelady has expired. If the gentleman
Look,
would like to respond to
he ain't even going to respond to it. Watch.
any of that, well, I mean, I'll respond.
There you go. That's enough. Okay, so yeah, Cash Patel didn't respond to it, and now we don't need to hear dude capping for Cash Patel. But let me see here. The last one is, let me see here. Here's Jamie Raskin. Yo, this was also from yesterday, but this part I didn't play the earlier part, and he mentioned some key things. So let me make sure we kind of go over to this before I bounce out. Yo, this dude is a hero. This guy is a hero. This guy is a patriot, and a lot of people want to talk. You know, this is one thing I don't like about the Democratic Party is that when things get tough, not all the time, but the Dems tend to, because they're a big camp, they tend to start complaining about each other. And that Republicans don't do. You could see these trolls, they're going to follow Donald Trump to hell. They don't care if he molests somebody. They don't care if he raids your grandmother's, coffers and Social Security, Medicare, anything. They don't care nothing about that. They're going to support Donald Trump. You see, and the Democratic Party, of course, there's a difference. People do have some small differences. And I think sometimes they tend to try to blame each other for shit that has nothing to do with Dems, you know. And but this dude is an example of what an elected official does that is a Dem. This dude is one of the highest caliber. You know, he is digging in with the law. He is wiping the floor. He's wiping the floor with Donald Trump and the Republican Party. I mean, Jamie Raskin, yo, you're a hero.
Very much, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Director Patel. You and I have not had the opportunity to meet, and alas, you failed to respond to the 8 oversight letters I've sent you over the last 7 months.
So you see that? You see that? That's why I wanted to play that. Cash Patel has been ignoring the Congress. Anything. Now, they're the ones that have oversight. They're supposed to be able to access any government facility and get any question answered from any person that works in government. Why? Because the House controls the purse. They're the ones who do the funding. I mean, after the taxpayer pays the taxes, the House funds everything. So they have the right to make sure that the money is being spent properly. That gives them access to every single thing, to these members, that gives them access to Cash Patel to answer any question they want any day of the week.
So we do have a lot of questions piling up for you, but I want to start with a word of praise. The first FBI director was
Praise. Anyway, let's listen.
Dr. Hoover, who steadfastly refused to hire women, African Americans, and other minorities as agents. And although he was a closeted homosexual who lived in domestic partnership for decades with Clyde Tolson, he also participated in anti-gay crusades. He aggressively promoted what we would...
You see what I was saying earlier? If y'all didn't hear me earlier, back it up to the beginning. Yo, Jamie goes in. He goes in. Let's hear it.
Steadfastly refused to hire women, African Americans, and other minorities as agents. And although he was a closeted homosexual who lived in domestic partnership for decades with Clyde Tolson, he also participated in anti-gay crusades. He aggressively promoted what we would today call white Christian nationalism. And he would undoubtedly be turning over in his grave to see as one of his successors a first-generation Indian American and a proud Hindu. So I congratulate you on being a breakthrough in this sense and being a beneficiary of the civil rights movement that opened up the FBI and the federal workforce.
Facts.
To lots of people who never would have been hired in its first decades.
Facts.
Alas, you share J. Edgar Hoover's dangerous obsession with blind loyalty over professionalism and effective public policy. For Hoover, it was blind loyalty to him in keeping his secrets. For you, it's blind loyalty to Donald Trump in keeping his secrets. During your confirmation, it was widely noted on all sides that your primary qualification was your unwavering loyalty to Trump. Unlike other directors, you had no work experience at the FBI, but you had made over 1,000 media and political appearances in support of Trump's campaign. Your Senate confirmation vote was 51-49, the closest in history With your opponents warning you were not qualified and had no interest in actually developing the qualifications for the job, I hoped that they were wrong. Alas, they were not. While most other new FBI directors drew on their experience as FBI agents, you didn't have that. But you did write a picture book trilogy for children ages 5 and up based on your experience clashing with President Trump's political
I almost forgot this idiot made this book.
enemies. In your book, you describe your literary alter ego, Cash the Knight, as a wacky, easily bored wizard carrying out King Donald's vengeance by driving his enemies out of the kingdom. In the books, King Donald is besieged by the evil Hillary Queentown, but saved in the end by Cash. Then Cash goes on to catch mules who are stealing the 2020 election for the great King Donald from Sleepy Joe. And then in the third book, Cash takes down the Dragon of the Jalapenos, nicknamed the DOJ.
What?
Your supporters had hoped that you would graduate from imagining yourself a romantic fairy tale knight to actually running America's premier federal law enforcement agency. Alas, just as we've learned how dangerous it is to put a science-denying anti-vaxxer in charge of our public health, we've learned how dangerous it is to name as director of the FBI a man who thinks of himself as a fairy tale knight who keeps a fire-breathing dragon named DOJ at home to forcibly drive villains out of the kingdom. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, while his killer was still on the loose, you decided you didn't need to be at FBI headquarters in Washington to work with your team while the chaotic manhunt unfolded. You spent your evening dining in a swanky Midtown Manhattan restaurant and tweeting out false information that the subject of the shooting was in custody, a statement you had to retract.
So dude was sitting there having dinner in a swank New York joint spot, tweeting this shit.
Restaurant and tweeting out false information that the subject of the shooting was in custody, a statement you had to retract 1 hour later. Your performance was so disturbing that even the MAGA base was alarmed. Culture warrior Christopher Rufo, who just a few months ago sat in your chair as a Republican witness, observed that you performed terribly, and he called for your ouster. The FBI might be able to survive your delusions of grandeur and the explosively volatile temper that was on display yesterday in the Senate. But the intractable problem is that you are running the FBI not as a law enforcement agency charged with keeping the American people safe, but as a political enforcement agency working directly for the president's vengeance campaign. 7 months in, it's impossible to overstate the destruction, chaos, and demoralization you've brought to the FBI and its workforce and the resulting danger your actions have caused to our country. You've been systematically purging the FBI of its most experienced and qualified agents, division leaders, and experts in counterterror, counterintelligence, and cybersecurity, precisely the people who have the expertise you lack and which the FBI and the country need. They've been expelled from the ranks of the Bureau simply because they did their duty investigating crimes, including those committed by the mob that attacked the Capitol on January 6th.
If you're going to attack the American people, if you're going to use the National Guard, the Marines, the FBI, any of the departments, right? Any of the parts of government to attack the American people, what you have to get rid of is the people that do understand the importance of following the Constitution, not taking illegal orders. That's what you need to do. And Cash Patel, first thing he did was get rid of as many people as possible. Not just him and the FBI and the DOJ and then Pete Kegbreath and the Homeland Security and the Pentagon. I mean, this is what they've been doing. You think they've been doing all of that for nothing? And Trump, he's not going to remove likely the National Guard from DC, even though they say crime is gone. He didn't go in there to remove crime. He's going to do his best to try to find a way to keep the National Guard there. I'm telling you, that's what his ultimate goal is, to get the National Guard out around election time. Around election time. Watch.
2021 and beat the hell out of more than 140 police officers, or simply because you suspected them of being insufficiently loyal.
Or use the National Guard or the Marines to create a problem, to create a conflict between the people. You see what I mean? To create to have some other type of conflict grow out of sending them out to people's towns. You know, they're not supposed to be out policing people's towns. They're not a police force. They're not supposed to be walking around like that in communities doing the police job. And you could see a lot of Americans are pissed off about that, you know, and Donald Trump knows that the United States of America is one of the countries in the Constitution where it says you have the right to bear arms. It's not many. It is definitely not many that have anything like that. And on top of it, he knows Americans are pissed about it. So he's trying to create a problem, and he will do anything. And you don't know if some of his foreign, like they said in the Jeffrey Epstein thing, some foreign governments, you don't know if some foreign governments can do some kind of false flag operation inside and make it seem like it was the National Guard. Make it seem like, you see, so he released them first. And then something happens. You don't know if it's a red flag to make it seem like a citizen attacks them. Now, attacks the National Guard to create a problem. Now, think about this. January 6th, the most important person wasn't the politicians. They're important in that day in the Capitol building. It's not the people that stormed the building. No. All of these people take second. The most important person that was mentioned that day is the bomber who brought 2 pipe bombs, one to the Democratic Party headquarters and one to the Republican Party headquarters. And that act alone is more significant than all the other acts. Because that individual wanted to hurt Republicans and Democrats alike, both Americans. And this is what Democrats and Republicans of any sense, citizens, all citizens, independent people in the independent parties, this is what all Americans need to be thinking about. Who was that person? Why did they never catch that person? Also, could it happen again? Was that person an American citizen, or was that a false flag? By who? If so, by who? You see, anyway, I'm going to let some of this play, and then I'm going to be out soon, y'all. I got 5 more minutes.
To Donald Trump.
Click the like button and click the subscribe button.
You illegally sacked Brian Driscoll, the former acting director of the Bureau and a decorated counterterrorism expert who worked at the FBI for nearly 20 years. According to Driscoll, you told him your own job, quote, depended on the removal of agents who worked on the cases against the president, regardless of whether the agents chose to work on those cases or not. You added, quote, the FBI tried to put the president in jail, and he hasn't forgotten it. You forced out the leader of the Salt Lake City field office, Mehtab Saeed, just weeks before Charlie Kirk's assassination, depriving the FBI of an experienced counterterrorism expert described by her colleagues as absolutely the best and legendary. She would have led the FBI's manhunt had she not been fired. When Trump decided that rounding up immigrants with no criminal records was more important than preventing crimes like human trafficking of women and girls, drug dealing, terrorism, and fraud, you ordered the 25 largest field offices to divert thousands of agents away from chasing down violent criminals, sex traffickers, fraudsters, and scammers to carry out this immigration crackdown. Director Patel, you treated the men and women at FBI with disrespect and paranoia. You've assembled a roving band of freelancing henchmen within your office and charged them with conducting unauthorized investigations, targeting and harassing career FBI employees. Amazingly, you forced senior leadership to repeatedly take polygraph tests to prove their political loyalty and pushed out leaders who refused these demeaning exercises. And now we're seeing one very clear reason why you want to build a political FBI. the Epstein files. You want an FBI blindly loyal to Trump and to
actually, you don't know if that's the only reason. And I said this before, I don't get the sense that Kash Patel doesn't hate the United States of America. I mean, I feel that in his bones. I don't know what he's up to, but that he jumped the gun. Talk about DEI hire. He jumped the line. Like, he jumped the line by thousands of people. He went in there with barely any experience in the FBI and fired people with loads of experience in some of the most critical areas of defense. Why do you think that is? Could it be helping a foreign country? Could Kash Patel be a treasonous? Could he be a treasonous? I mean, I'm just saying. And again, if it was my choice, man, he would never be in the goddamn FBI, period. Never. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people on the left agree with that notion, because for so many reasons, this dude, he might pretend to be unserious, but I have no doubt he's involved with something else. I have no doubt. I mean, it's just my belief, but I have no doubt at all.
Thousands of agents away from chasing down violent criminals, sex traffickers, fraud.
This ain't no accident. This ain't no coincidence. It's not all these stupid people just accident after accident after accident. No, they all seem to be firing a lot of people, making the country very, very unsafe and unstable, attacking every single aspect of the country. And it's going to be some serious repercussions for that. It's not going to just be nice.
And scammers to carry out this immigration crackdown. Director Patel, you treated the men and women at FBI with disrespect and paranoia. You've assembled a roving band of freelancing henchmen within your office and charged them with conducting unauthorized investigations, targeting and harassing career FBI employees. Amazingly, you forced senior leadership to repeatedly take polygraph tests to prove their political loyalty and pushed out leaders who refused these demeaning exercises. And now we're seeing one very clear reason why you want to build a political FBI: the Epstein files. You want an FBI blindly loyal to Trump and to you as his enforcer, so you can continue your cover-up of a massive international sex trafficking ring with more than 1,000 victims, betraying all of the survivors.
All right, so the bottom line is shit. All you need to do is get people to do one cover-up. The key to everything is getting people to go along with the first cover-up. Then you're already complicit in a crime. So it's easier to get you to go along with the next big cover-up, the next big thing. You see? Yeah, there's a lot of parts to this, a lot of moving parts. And when I say moving parts, I mean negative moving parts, all orchestrated, like a symphony happening. A little over here, attack over there, attack over there. This little thing moves over here, get this one out of the way, blah, blah, blah. And the Supreme Court is not helping. They actually regret doing this shit, allowing Trump to vote. But goddamn, you all are some zealots. The Supreme Court has some zealots. They got corruption, cash corruption, but a couple of them, what's his name? Roberts. He had the nerve to have an upside down flag on September 6th. January 6th. He had an upside down flag. That's a zealot. And zealots are some of the dumbasses, the dumbest ones. I mean, they could be fooled. They come and sound serious and all of that shit. No, man, what's the point in going to university if you just become a zealot? A right-wing zealot, a Christian national zealot. Nothing wrong with Christianity. I'm just saying, goddamn, a zealot, a right-wing Christian nationalist zealot? That's all the brains you got? That's all that Constitution meant to you? Like, damn. Any case, y'all, I'll be back. Thanks for joining me. Peace out to the real ones. So, the folks out there, the real Americans that are concerned about their country. I don't care what party you're from. I'm on the left, but I don't care if you're on the left. I'm going to acknowledge real Americans that give a damn about their country. Trolls, That's what you get. Yeah, anybody behind the trolls, that's what you get too. You could get the other thing too. Anybody behind the trolls, it's time like Americans clean this shit up. And now, in case you have never owned a gun and you are of age, my suggestion is, in a cool, calm fashion, go down and register, get a license, get a gun, learn how to shoot, because it is your right. It's your right. And my advice is do it now before Trump makes it illegal. Look at all the things. Trump talks it up all the time. Freedom of speech, then he's going to take it away. That's Trump's playbook. Always pretends to be on the side of the good, then does the exact opposite. Does the exact goddamn. And if you ain't learned from that lesson yet, you deserve to lose some more. So, all right, y'all. I'm out. I'll see y'all later. We catch up. Be good, all right? What's going on here? Peace. Subscribe, like, and share. Medea, what's up, sister? Sorry about that. Folks got to check out Medea's channel also. She's been doing some crazy lives on some other trafficking rings. So, peace, y'all.